Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me again. Tonight is November 8th, 2023. This is live stream number 984. If you're not overly familiar with this show, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then either taking a first look at a game, or on occasion, I will share a live review of a game. Well, tonight, Savage Worlds Week is going to continue to rock on with a super-sized episode of The Dispatch. That's right, because we are going to dive on in and take a peek at a trio of Deadlands The Weird West releases from Pinnacle Entertainment Group. And we are going to start off with the boxed set. Yes. So we're going to take a look at this. We're also going to take a look at the companion as well as the pawn set box. So plenty of Deadland goodies ahead. Nice. So I should point out, if you are tuning in because you want to see the unboxing and first look at Deadlands in the box set and the rest of the goodies, I will want to mention that I do tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it's probably going to be about 35, maybe 40 minutes, probably closer to 35, before I get on into that first look. So if you are tuning in live, kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. It's hump day. You're halfway to the weekend already. But of course, if you are watching this 30 minutes or more after the show has ended, there will be timestamps. So if you're the impatient type and you just gotta get to that first look, you'll be able to by simply clicking on the timestamps. They are located in the show notes, or depending on the device you might happen to be watching this on, could be right there in the timeline of the video itself. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, this is a live show, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, maybe there's something about the trio of Deadlands products we take a peek at tonight that you want a closer look at, by all means, chime in. I'll do my best to respond. So first out the gate tonight is Beat Cafe. Steve Bernier is with us, as is Kathy Evans. I do know one of our chat moderators, the Madman, will not be present for the live show tonight because it is his Wednesday gaming night. I believe he's running the One Ring, although not this, because this isn't actually out in stores yet. This just arrived tonight. So we are going to be taking a peek at this in the very near future. We might actually have the other Lord of the Rings role-playing releases arrive in time as well. So, Dengar the Mighty is joining us in chat. I believe this might be the first time that Dengar has joined us in chat. Says they've been trying to catch the live show for some time, but I'm usually on too late, or they're running a game at the time. Also, a huge Savage Worlds and Deadlands fan. Well, if you missed it last night, we kind of took a relatively deep dive into the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. I almost just said Suede right off the bat, but I'm like, I better actually call it by its full name. So yes, we were taking a peek at this yesterday, and I will point out, I actually read half of this last night, which is very, very unusual for me to do when I first take a peek at a new game. If I do an unboxing, or a lot of times, of course, if I do a page through for a role-playing game product, I don't start reading it right then and there. My interest was very piqued, and I gotta say, halfway through it, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Now, granted, the way it's set up, the rules section is like around the halfway point. So I'm just getting into the rules. But I got to say, as the Madman and others were pointing out in last night's chat, the rules seem very intuitive. And I could see it being very, very easy for newcomers to pick up the basics really fast. So very nice. Very nice. All right, as I mentioned, this is going to be a supersized show. So I am going to jump right on into the news, because landing in stores later this month from Good Games Publishing is Bark Avenue. Here's the scoop. Bark Avenue is a competitive route optimization pickup and deliver game centered around a day in the life of a dog walker in Upper Manhattan. Fancy, fancy. Players balance walking several dogs at once with competing needs, including walk length, preferred activities, bathroom breaks, and compatibility with your other dogs. You'll be challenged with solving the puzzle of returning dogs on time and determining which dogs to walk next. In between walks, use public transportation to your advantage to position yourself for the best walks. As you progress in your dog walking career, God, is that what people, plan for their careers, to be dog walkers? I don't know. I don't think that's a great career plan, but that's just me. Your good ratings will unlock new abilities such as walking more dogs simultaneously, going off leash at the dog park, and taking more end of turn actions, including pickups and activities like visiting pet shops. What, to go check out the puppy mills? What? Be wary of returning dogs late, because you could lose out on the most pay. At between 45 minutes to an hour, this Gateway Plus game is targeted at all players and pulls in dog lovers, providing fun for new gamers and critical thinking and optimization problems for seasoned gamers. Bark Avenue is for 1 to 5 players, ages 10 and up, plays in about 45 to 60 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $44.99 when it arrives November 29th. I like the art style. The art looks pretty cool in this. And strangely enough, there are now a few games that focus on the topic of dog walkers. So I reviewed one not too long ago. Should mention, Good Games Publishing is also the company that released one of my favorite games, Funfair and Unfunfair. Or I should say, it's unfair. But yes, I dig that. Actually, I've played Funfair with my mom, my brother, my nephew, Elliot, bunch of people, and everybody has enjoyed it. So they've got, they got a soft spot in my heart there. So I thought I would share this news piece. Kathy Evans says, my friend would love the job of dog walking. The reality is I know someone whose daughter does that sort of stuff, and it is a dead end. So I don't know. Biggest problem, absolutely no benefits whatsoever. Chris Phillips is with us saying they're going to take a pass on Bark Avenue. That's okay, Chris. You won't hurt my feelings. Marius Smith is with us. I will take I almost said stab in the dark. I'm not going to say that. I am going to take a guess. One of our chat moderators, Sarah D, might be hanging out with us tonight. So if she is currently the only one who would be wielding the banhammer. Let's move on to some role-playing game news. Because currently up on Kickstarter for Draco Studios is LEC's Guide to Magic for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Here's the dope. LEC's Guide to Magic is a 300-plus page book for 5e that introduces the Dragon Bond setting to your game. Discover a totally new spellcasting system that gives you complete control to create spells on the fly and combine with allies to fire spectacular magical combos. Experience the unique new summoning system with its unexpected elements and choose from a host of player options with 4 new classes and associated subclasses. In addition, you'll find a host of spells, magic items, potions, poisons, and some are actually created by the very special celebrity guest contributors. Plus, there is a new dragon brood for all the dragon fans out there, and over 40 new monsters to encounter. There is a Kickstarter video. It runs a couple of moments long, and yes, Sarah D is with us with her banhammer. So anyway, let's take a peek at the Kickstarter video.
The power of magic has long been feared and controlled, but no longer. The time has come to share the deepest secrets of Vala, the knowledge and power which made me Queen of Valeria. With this potential in your hands, will you bring light to the world or plunge it into the deepest darkness? With this guide to magic, every aspect of spellcasting will be enhanced, your potential unleashed. Do not simply memorize spells. Craft them spontaneously to suit your needs. Utilize the environment that surrounds you and stack effects to unleash devastating combos. Draw upon previously untapped sources of power to summon, command, and commune with magical spirits. Learn the ancient art of dragon runes and bring draconic wrath down upon your foes. Craft new potions, fell poisons, and cunning magical items of undreamed might. Yet, even more awaits you within. Choose your path to glory with 4 new classes. Channel the power of the storms, bring down blood curses to bedevil your enemies, or invoke bone-chilling nightmares with the Vala Witch. As a summoner, command a host of allies, from eldritch spirits to fell creatures, to overcome any obstacle. Meld martial skill and devastating arcana into a deadly duet, and bring your opponents to their knees with the Scion. Take on even the toughest foes with brutal explosives and ingenious contraptions as the Arcanologist. Plus, new subclasses that offer vast opportunities to achieve your full potential. Over 40 terrifying magical creatures that plague the unwary. And over 150 new spells for every sort of spellcaster. Intrigued? These mysteries are not for the meek. Are you brave enough to open the cover and wield the powers within? Dragon Bond, Elise's Guide to Magic.
The Kickstarter project for Elise's Guide to Magic is right on the cusp of 700% funded. In fact, as of right now, it may have actually passed the 700% funding mark. You can reserve a copy of that 300 plus page hardcover for a pledge of $60, or grab just the PDF alone for a pledge of $25 through November 30th. Expected delivery of the PDF is next August, with the physical book to follow next November. And why did we suddenly move into the wrong news item? Flaming Heron's with us in chat, says, wait, bundle of holding slipped in there. When I hit my, hit the little key to move on to the next thing, it must have stuck for a second and jumped two ahead. So no, I am still talking about Draco Studios here. So I should mention, Draco Studios reached out with some Kickstarter information about this. And I believe, if I remember correctly, it might have actually been Kevin R. Smith, who was with us in chat, by the way, just showed up. Good to see you, Kevin. Who reviewed the Eldritch, let's try it in English, Jeff. The Eldritch Century, which was from Draco Studios, which we had received the PDFs. And I'd never heard from them really again. So they reached out with the Kickstarter info. So I emailed back and said, well, you got to realize I don't tend to share Kickstarter information, Kickstarter news from companies that we've really never shared any coverage of any physical items from. And a lot of times publishers get pissed off when I tell them that, which I got to be honest, I don't really care, because it's kind of like, it's kind of insulting for a company to reach out and ask me to help them make money so that they can publish something which is going to put money in their pocket, while not really caring how does my outlet actually stay afloat. I mean, reality is that is kind of rude. But like I said, sometimes I say that and people get pissed off. Well, the fine folks over at Draco Studios were like, you know what? We didn't even think of that. We're going to send you some stuff. So we've got some items from Draco Studios that are on the way for us to be taking a peek at. So I just wanted to let you know, pretty nice of the folks over at Draco Studios, because it could have just said, yeah, whatever. We don't need your news piece, man. Marius Smith said this is like the opposite of Broncolonia. Well, I don't think it's lighthearted. So, Flaming Aaron says, hey, looks good. Michael Chad is with us. Good to see you, Michael. Thanks for coming on by tonight. So let's move on to the next news piece. Yesterday, I shared news of the City of Mist Essentials bundle. And today it's time to talk about the City of Mist Unveiled offer from
The power of
Oak Game Studios and Bundled Holding. Yeah, something must be going on with the keyboard here, because I just clicked once and then it jumped back to that video for a second. Oh, I probably need a new keyboard. Anyway, so we've got the City of Mist Unveiled offer. I've got the deets on the deal. Look sharp, hero. This City of Mist Unveiled bundle is the second of two offers in progress featuring City of Mist, the comic book epic myth neo-noir detective tabletop role-playing game, say that 5 times fast, from Son of Oak Game Studio, about ordinary people with legendary powers in a mystery-shrouded metropolis. The City of Mist rulebooks aren't part of this offer, If you're new to the game, then by all means start with the City of Mist Essentials bundle. Then return for this new companion bundle of recent source books and adventures, including Shadows and Showdowns, Knights of Paintown, and more. For $17.95, you'll get all 7 titles in the Locations collection with a retail value of $73 as DRM-free PDFs, including the 312-page character creation expansion and source book, Shadows and Showdowns, along with 6 district mini source books, Fortune's Roll, Independence, La Colonia de Sambaras, Sunken City, Tourist Trap, and The Undertrash. So where would you like to live? Anywhere but The Undertrash. And if you pay more than the current threshold price of $30.15, you'll level up and also get the entire Adventures collection with 4 more titles worth an additional $46, including the 9-adventure anthology, Knights of Paintown, the City of Mist Crime Board City Map, and 2 small-time villain character write-ups, Puppet Show and Stone Cold Beauty. These savings run through November 27th, and 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to Direct Relief. Sweet, you can right now get a lot of City of Mist goodies for a pretty smoking price. Pretty nicely done. And stay tuned, I will have more news tomorrow from Son of Oak Games Studio. As I mentioned yesterday, I said, hey, kind of strange. I don't think I've mentioned Son of Oak Games Studio in a couple of years, and we're actually going to have news back to back to back. Kind of cool. I like City of Mist. I think City of Mist is a very unique role-playing game. It is unlike anything I'm familiar with, and it is kind of built on the Apocalypse engine, but it is not strictly just powered by the Apocalypse. Like I said, it's kind of different. If you're not familiar with it, you might want to take a peek at that City of Mist Essentials bundle. Final news piece. The first adventure for the upcoming Tales of the Valiant fantasy role-playing game from Kobold Press is now available in PDF. Here's the skinny on Caverns of the Spore Lord. The people of Holgig are desperate. The hamlet's tainted well water is transforming the residents into Sporeborn. To make matters worse, the transmogrified villagers are drawn to the nearby cave complex that leads to the subterranean village of Belgrove. Its Mycolid inhabitants are having their own problems. Caverns of the Spore Lord brings you a memorable introductory adventure for the Tales of the Valiant role-playing game. This will take player characters from 1st to 3rd levels, and it utilizes the rules from the Tales of the Valiant Alpha release. Features an enhanced adventure structure to support ease of play, and includes exploration, traps, monsters, and more. Will the PCs stem the brewing conflict between the human and the Mycolid communities? Will they solve the mystery of the infection and stop an apocalyptic cult? Will they be able to save the Mycolid leader, or Mycolid, however you like to pronounce it? Be bold, be brave, be valiant. This 20-page adventure PDF is available over at DriveThruRPG for $4.99. I get a kick out of the little mushroom dude running. And then the final image, which of course I'm sharing images from the PDF. The final image with the various different fungi, and there's one of them who's got like a dagger. It's feel like it's like, I'm gonna catch you a new smile, daddy-o. Yeah, take a little of that. Just bizarre. Here it comes. There you go. See it? It's little bitty guy down in the lower right corner. It's like, yeah, okay. Nice. Good to see that we've got the first adventure for Tales of the Valiant, even though it is the alpha edition. It is just the playtest edition, but kind of cool. Kind of cool. Should also mention that I shared a news piece yesterday from Pulp Hummock Games, and it was the 430 plus page Gods of the Forbidden North Volume 1. You may recall I was talking about how it is the first mega adventure that's been published especially for Old School Essentials Advanced Fantasy. Well, the folks over at Pulp Hummock Games reached out and said, hey, thanks so much for sharing news about us. We'd like to send you a copy of the book. So we're going to get a chance to take a peek at that. Pretty nice. It is a print on demand, I believe, from Drive-Thru RPG. So it'll probably be 2-3 weeks before we see it. But as I had mentioned last night, I was looking pretty impressive, I must say. Zorak Zoran 1 is with us, as is James Eck. Who else has snuck in here in the chat? Matthew Blackwell. There we go. I thought there was somebody else. So welcome, everybody. Very nice. If you are tuning in a little bit late, it is going to be a supersized show tonight. So I am not going to get into any random musings or anything like that. But I do want to say that I, of course, was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, any of the One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Now, if you happen to like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, by all means, please stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang and make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Yum, 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 yum. And I will mention our friend the Madman, who is not with us tonight. He is busy, as I mentioned before, running, I think it's the One Ring he runs tonight. But he stopped by paypal.me recently and made a not small donation. So thank you very kindly to the Madman. And of course, thank you to all of you out there who happen to utilize our banner ads and or visit the paypal.me/thegaminggang. Very nice. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Easter Bunny. Buck, buck. Ben Collins has joined us in chat. Well, thank you very much. Ben Collins is saying great content that we make. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for watching. Kind of like, what was it? Wasn't it Doritos? Eat as many as you want. We'll make more. Something along those lines. All right. So we are going to be diving on in and taking a look at a trio of Deadlands, the Weird West releases from Pinnacle Entertainment Group in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
your coffee again. The desk sergeant at the station makes better coffee than this.
Ed, really?
Sorry, honey, but your coffee tastes terrible.
Mr. McGregor, please help me.
Carol, what's the matter?
My coffee. Ed says he gets better coffee at the police station.
Why not try new instant Folgers?
Instant Folgers?
No, I said new instant Folgers, Carol. Tastes good as fresh perked, because it's made from fresh perked coffee. Then they actually turn that fresh perked coffee into new instant Folgers.
Tastes good as fresh perked because it is. Fresh perked. Mr. McGregor, I'll try it.
Hey, the Sarge never made coffee like this.
It's new instant Folgers. Tastes good as fresh perked.
I like it better.
Try new instant Folgers. Tastes good as fresh perked because it is.
Watch out where you throw those knives.
Are you drinking Wilkins Instant Coffee yet?
No.
Okay, let's try it blindfolded.
You've just seen a demonstration of the most authentic Western toy cap guns in the world. They're from Mattel. You can get any of Mattel's rifles or pistols separately or in sets. The Sundowner set, the Frontier set, the Buffalo Hunter set. All carry the rugged stamp of the Old West. You can tell they're Mattel. They're swell.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
My God, woman, that coffee is dreadful. Yep, that's the sort of commercial you couldn't get away with making these days. And was that grocer a wizard or something? He made that coffee go right into the sign. My gosh. And yes, it was intentional sharing a couple of Western-themed ads tonight, since we're taking a look at Deadlands, the Weird West. Yes. Tessie Trekkie is with us in chat. They mentioned that they bought the City of Mist bundle. I should say City of Mist bundle on my recommendation. Very nice. Very nice. Hope you enjoy it. Marius Smith says they've been reading The One Ring and their family is demanding that they run it. And as Kevin R. Smith points out, it's not sure if the Madman's running The One Ring or the, what is it, Lord of the Rings role-playing is the name of the Free League Publishing version. Yeah, I don't recall either. I know it's Middle-earth related, which is what he's running this week. So we will, I'm sure, see the Madman tomorrow. All right, so let's jump on into the main event because tonight I am going to be unboxing and taking a first look at Deadlands, the Weird West boxed set, as well as the Deadlands Companion and the Deadlands Pawns box set. Now, the Weird West box set carries an MSRP of $99.99. The Companion carries an MSRP of $29.99. And the Pawn box set carries an MSRP of $24.99. Kevin R. Smith says they would love to have people demanding that he ran a One Ring campaign. Dangar the Mighty says the One Ring is great. I've got a copy of it on my shelves. It is. It's solid. It's pretty solid. In my opinion, I think the big selling point about even the first edition from Cubicle 7 Entertainment, as well as the second edition of the One Ring from Free League Publishing, a really great selling point is it's not overly complex. And it is kind of interesting that we have those sort of downtime activities that the players involve themselves with. So it, to make the journey aspect of the adventuring stand out far more than it would in a lot of role-playing games. All right, so let's swing on over to the camera, to the other camera, because we're going to be diving on into the Deadlands Weird West boxed set. A few things I want to mention before we dive on in. First of all, the fine folks over at Pinnacle Entertainment Group were kind enough to provide me with these review copies, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. And these days, very important that you know that. So I'm going to get the shrink wrap off of this. I also believe that there is an adventure in this box set. So if you are a player and your game master has Deadlands and they just haven't started running it yet, you might consider tuning out for a little bit, because there's going to be some spoilers. Even though I know nothing about that adventure, there's going to be some spoilers just taking a peek through. Matthew Blackwell says, I've been looking for an Old West role-playing game. Well, this is a Weird West game. Important to point that out. And I will also mention that I had the original Deadlands, and I used to pick up all the Splat books back in the day, probably for about the first 2 to 3 years this was out. So I have a little bit of familiarity with the setting. Welcome to the Weird Wild West. The year's 1884, and danger awaits on the wild frontier. Some say there are monsters out there, creatures born of darkness and given life by overwhelming evil. Such times create great heroes. Think you have what it takes to join them, amigo? Deadlands is the premier Weird West role-playing game of action-packed horror. Gather a posse of dedicated lawmen, magic-wielding hucksters, and grizzled gunslingers, and create your own heroic frontier histories. This is how the Weird West was won. Matthew Blackwell says they were checking out Shooting Iron, but never pulled the trigger on it. I know there's Aces and Eights. I think that's a relatively well-known Western role-playing game, which also has some unique aspects to it. In fact, if I remember right, I think it comes in a box set, and the inside of the cover you actually throw your dice into, because there's an outline of a gunslinger. It's for like hit location, I think. I know the hit location plays a big deal in it. All right, so we have Smith and Robards. I guess this is supposed to be like Sears and Roebuck. The map of the Western states and territories. Let's take a quick peek at this. Looks like this is a pretty packed box here. So this is single-sided. Decent thickness on this. So these are the territories as well. So it looks like, from a little bit of Indiana, Mississippi. There we go. Cool. Shows us the rail lines. If I remember correctly, one of the things that was unique about Deadlands when it first came out, not Savage Worlds edition, but it was Shane Hensley anyway, who's the designer. If I remember correctly, there weren't vampires in it. That was the big deal with Night Train, which I think the Kickstarter just wrapped for a new edition of Night Train. So we've got some power cards. We've got the adventure deck. I don't think we have an action deck in here, which I think is kind of surprising, because isn't the action deck the standard deck of cards that you use for kind of like initiative. There are a few different things. So Anthony Good is with us in chat. Says, hey, is that the next map for Red Dead Redemption 3? So Tessie Trekkie says, if I bought the older supplements, the major setting changes. The Confederates got stopped in the Civil War instead of fighting coming to a standstill. Yes, I had heard about that, and I heard some people complained. So it's like, okay. Chris Phillips says they already have Weird Frontiers and Call Cthulhu's Down Darker Trails, wanting to see what this looks like in comparison, as they don't know much about Savage Worlds. Well, you're going to get to take a peek. We're going to look at these cards last. Here we've got our books. So here is the setting book, and as you can see, it is the same size as, let me grab our core rule book. That's nice, so they can sit there together on your bookshelf. I always think it's weird when a company releases supplements for their games in, some are just standard size hardcovers, and then suddenly you have these like small digest size books. Okay, so this is our Adventure Showdown at sundown, and we have a Game Master screen. This is our insert here. I think these are ammo trackers. Well, they are some sort of trackers. So there are 5 of these. Yep, 5. We got bennies and the jets. So here are our bennies. I think there's supposed to be 25 of them. Well, looks like I'm going to have to get ye old hobby knife out. I'm going to take a guess that these are going to just be plastic. I don't think they're going to be the same material as poker chips. I'll tell you in a sec. They are, yeah, they're just plastic. But actually a pretty decent plastic. So they do have a little bit of weight to them. So it looks like we've got a few different images. We've got some buffalo. We've got a male cowpoke and a female cowpoke. Looks like we've got some undead gunslinger. If I remember correctly, I think the magic users, aren't they hucksters? Don't they use playing cards for their spells? Kevin R. Smith says, Savage Worlds is an excellent system, though he is not as familiar with it as the Madman is. Yes, our friend the Madman is our resident Savage Worlds expert. That is for sure. So Chris mentions they've got Weird Frontiers. Haunted West, I like. I know I caused some consternation from some people who don't like Chris Spivey, which personally I really don't care if they do or not. He's a very nice guy, at least to me. And his role-playing releases are excellent. All right, so here's our set of dice. And we've got a wild die. Is that our 6? Yes. So we got our 20-sider, 12-sider, 8, 10, 6, and 4. So we've got those. So let's dive on into the setting book. Let's see what we've got here. It's exactly what was on the back of the box. So that's fine. So here we have the map once again. nice paper stock. Of course, we're not talking free league publishing thickness, but we're talking probably a little thicker than what you would encounter from Wizards of the Coast and the D&D books. So it looks like we've got some fiction to start off with. I remember they used to have the dime novels, which were little digest size releases where it was fiction and then a short adventure. Kevin King is with us in chat. Good to see you, Kevin. The history is not our own. The Weird West of Deadlands is much like the Wild West of our own world, but with a few fantastic differences. The most notable of these is that the Civil War dragged on for far longer than it did in our history. Things escalated after the Great Quake of 1868. It sundered California into a maze of labyrinthine sea canyons and exposed a new superfuel called Ghost Rock. Yes, I remember the Ghost Rock. The infernal ore screeches like a banshee when burned, powering all sorts of newfangled gadgets and gizmos like steam wagons, autogyros, and more. This gave rise to new weapons of war the North and South just couldn't help murdering each other with. The greatest and most terrible gathering of these deadly contraptions occurred at the epic and bloody Battle of Washington in 1871, where a desperate Northern victory finally ended the long and tragic Civil War. So we have new nations arise. So you got the Mormons. We have some Indian nations, if I remember correctly. We got the Coyote Confederation. The authorities. So talking about I was going to say, I don't think they're Texas Rangers. They're Territorial Rangers. We get a tour of the West, and then we jump on into our character creation options. So we are going to, no doubt, have some new edges, some new traits. So if you did not check out last night's video where I shared a first look at the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition, and you're not overly familiar with Savage Worlds, let me actually grab these dice again. So I'm not finished reading the rules, but as far as your attributes, there are 5 attributes. It's like agility, strength, spirit, and you're going to have a die assigned to that. So you're going to start off with a D4 for your 5 attributes, and then you'll have points where you can actually move to the next die size. So you'll have 5 points. So as an example, if you wanted to go from a D4 to a D6, that would cost you 1 point. So Anthony Good asks if it has the Wizards of the Coast Pinkertons. Well, they're not Wizards of the Coast Pinkertons. They're Pinkertons. They were just hired by Wizards of the Coast. Yes, WotC keeps their own Pinkerton agents on ice. Tessie Trekkie is pretty well versed with Savage Worlds. Said they love Veteran of the Weird West, Edge. Your character starts with 4 extra advances, but the GM gets to roll on a table to determine how the Weird West has harmed you. Yeah, you're insane. So anyway, what you need to do is, in most situations, and yes, there are positive, negative modifiers, so on and so forth, but you need to roll a 4 or higher. So if you happen to have an attribute or a skill, or I guess we should say trait, with like a D12, I mean, all you got to do is roll a 4 or higher. And then for every 4 points more than 4, so as an example here, I just got an 8. If that was my roll without any modifiers, that would be a raise, which in essence is a much higher degree of success, could have some narrative properties to it as the game master, or if it was damage, it would be more damaged, being dealt out, things like that. So in essence, the core mechanic is roll 4 or higher. If you were watching earlier on, I did mention that I had read about half of the core rulebook for the Adventure Edition of Savage Worlds and really enjoying it to this point. And I could see the Madman and some other folks in chat yesterday were talking about just how easy it is to get newcomers to the game into it, because roll 4 or higher. I mean, come on, how much easier could that be? Now, of course, there's a heck of a lot more crunch involved than just that. But you're looking at, certain situations and things like that. So here we've got, this looks like some hindrances, right? Yep, new hindrances. Aelin, yeah, not feeling too well. Heavy sleeper, tenderfoot, that's a major hindrance. Yes, he's an Easterner. Flaming Hera says, yeah, it's fairly simple. Thangar the Mighty says, the really cool thing with the new edition of Deadlands is if that is all your group is going to play, all the rules are in that book. You don't necessarily need the core book. I would think you would probably want the core book, because it even says that, well, companies say things that you need to have, where, yes, I get it, you don't necessarily need to have them. But I would think you would probably want to have it simply for the edges and hindrances and things like that, which are already in the core book. So we've got new edges here. Born in the Saddle. Did we skip some traits? No, I think these are just all, maybe we did. Anyway, we're not looking at each and every page of this, so Kevin R. Smith said they were wondering if this was going to be a complete game or a setting supplement. I believe this is supposed to be a setting supplement. Don't know. We'll find out as we get further in. So then we get into our gear and goods section, which was a pretty large section of the core book as far as different gear. Infernal devices. So yes, there is a steampunk aspect to the proceedings of Deadlands. So here we've got life in the Weird West, dinero, communications, superstitions, no man's land. It says players avert your eyes unless the marshal told you to crack open this chapter and study up. Mystery is crucial to the Weird West's appeal, and no man's land is where we hide all the secrets. Okay, so this is going to be the GM's gazetteer, no doubt. So these are trying to look. Okay, so, well, wait a second. Why would that be saying that it's not for players' eyes when it looks like it's essentially the new, like, character, I don't want to say classes, but like character careers. So we have the Herod. Aren't the Herod kind of like haunted? Don't they have like some supernatural aspect to them? If I remember correctly. We got the Hucksters. They are the spell slingers, if I remember from the first edition. Oh, Herod are undead. Thanks, Tessie Trekkie. Well, there is a supernatural aspect to them then. So Kevin King says, yeah, these are setting specific edges and traits if memory serves. So you just combine them with the ones from the core book. That's what I figured. We have mad scientists, territorial rangers. So it looks like territorial rangers would be more along lines of just kind of traditional gunfighters. Looks like we have shaman as well. And Anthony Good mentions killer artwork. Yeah, I was going to say pretty solid artwork throughout. Here we got the new powers. So I have to laugh. So I was reading through Suede last night, and there was an edge, and it was something like alcohol fueled or something along those lines. And it was essentially if the player character has a drink, has a stiff drink, that they're immune from being shaken the first time, which is kind of like stunned in combat. And it said, no joke, it said, if the player character consumes a stiff drink, 8 ounces or more of alcohol. It's like, okay, so whoever wrote that does not understand how alcohol works, because you would not have a cocktail with 8 ounces of booze. I was like, I stopped it. I read it again. It's like 8 ounces of alcohol as a single drink. And it's like, what? It's like, no, absolutely not. You suck down 8 ounces of alcohol. You're not alcohol fueled. You're getting ready to pass out. Because most like mixed drinks, like if you had, like whiskey and soda, gin tonic, or like myself, I like vodka and cranberry. Usually getting about 1.5 ounces to maybe 2 ounces of alcohol in that drink, not 8. So Kevin R. Smith says, okay, Deadlands says it requires Suede core rules to play, unlike Savage Pathfinder, which is a standalone game. Yes. So Kevin King says, so like Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. Speaking of, there is actually a Lankhmar Savage Worlds, which is really interesting because there is also the Dungeon Crawl Classics Lankhmar at the same time. So kind of interesting. So here we've got Ghost Rock. The gruesome truth about Ghost Rock. And it's not meant for players' ears, so I did not read that. So here we've got encounters, and it appears using a deck of cards for encounter creation. So objectives, obstacles, complications, regional encounters. There are a few adventures that are out there for Deadlands, the Weird West. As I had mentioned earlier, it was not that long ago that the Night Train box set was kickstarted. I know off the top of my head, I believe there are 2 box set adventures. So Kevin King says in DCC Lankhmar, alcohol heals. Yes, that's what I had heard. But there are also PDF adventures that are available out there too. I don't think they call them dime novels anymore. I think they just call them adventures. So here we've got a gazetteer. Olympia and Portland. So this is the Northwest. So talking about, looks like Washington State and Idaho, Oregon. Deseret, so yes, that would be Utah. I wonder how the Mormons are portrayed in this. Kind of curious. Because they were not well looked upon, I would say, in the 1870s and 1880s. In fact, you may want to actually look this up, but at one point, the United States government was very, very close to eliminating the Mormons in Utah. So let's see. This looks like this is still... Are these different factions? Oh, look at that. Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, the hero of Gettysburg. Yes, the 20th Maine. Is president of Empire Rail. Realizing the importance of the transcontinental competition to the country, he requested a leave of absence to lead the company, and it was quickly granted. Despite the government's involvement, Empire Rail is owned by a shadowy cabal of New York bankers and industrialists. Their ambitions often clash with the Honorable Chamberlain, but so far the former general remains in charge. So, interesting little side note about Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. He received a battlefield commission to general when he was shot down at a battle, and they gave him the battlefield commission because they didn't think he was going to live. And then he did. So it's like, oh, well, now he's a general. Flaming Heron says, yes, they successfully funded Night Train, which, if memory serves me, was the first appearance of vampires for Deadlands. Because the original book and first adventures and stuff like that, first supplements, the splats that came out, didn't have vampires in it. And I could have swore that the big surprise of that adventure were the vampires. But then in the Kickstarter, I mean, they're right there on the cover of the adventure. So it's like, well, so much for, having any kind of big surprise with that. So now we're getting into our bestiary, Nosferatu. There you go. So they are included in the core setting book. But you know what? They are not wild cards. So anything we see with this little symbol here means that it's like an important NPC or pretty tough creature. The Rattler. They call these great worms rattlers because a person's teeth start shattering as a rattler rumbles through the earth beneath him. No, tremors, okay. Though they're most common in the Mojave, rattlers are also found in isolated flatlands in Montana and Utah. Sand viper, Sasquatch, nice. I'm liking this. I'm definitely digging this. One thing I will say from my memories of the first edition of Deadlands is there's far less fluff in this book. If I seem to recall that there was a lot of fiction in the core rulebook for Deadlands, and we're really not seeing that at all. Okay, so it looks like we wrap up with that bestiary. So this clocks in at 196 pages. So we will take a quick peek at the Game Master screen. And then there's an adventure in here, I believe. But it looks like it's pretty short. Might be, I don't know, 16 pages or so. Oh, it doesn't even get a cover. Doesn't even get cover artwork. All right. So it is a landscape Game Master screen. Hopefully the images have been sharp tonight. Kevin R. Smith says standard vampires would be minions. Count Dracula would be a wild card, at least in a setting where there are swarms of vampires, as opposed to, say, Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Then I would think any vampire in that would be, even like Lucy Westerna, would end up being a wild card. All right. So we've got combat options and situational rules, damage, fear, reactions, and dealing with the devil. All right. And that is the artwork that we see on this. So it is a 3-panel Game Master screen. So we also have some cards. Now keep in mind, remember, we are taking a look at the companion as well as the pawn box. Let's see what we've got here. We've got magic, malevolence, mayhem. So is this like a Harrowed deck? Mischief, misfortune, and murder. Kevin King says, that's nice art. Yeah, I like this box set so far. It's pretty cool. Let's put these back. Now, I think these are archetype cards. Could be wrong. I might as well get all of these. And the power cards. I think the one thing, just taking a look at the core rule book, that I was kind of curious about, that I would really want to take a look at, like the fantasy companion. And yes, we are going to be taking a look at the ultimate core for Savage Pathfinder tomorrow. But I'm kind of curious about spells. So we've got the agent. There are things out there that go bump in the night, and you're the one hunting them. The blessed. So I would take a guess they are, I would think they're magic users. A chi master. You came to America seeking a new start. Your mastery of the ancient arts keeps you alive in this strange new world. Well, just don't live in San Francisco. That's all I got to say. Got the explorer. The gunslinger. I bet you that's red. It's another thing I thought was cool about the core rulebook is where they have they talk about these two kids who play all these various different characters in that, and one is Gabe and the other is her character's name is always Red. So there's a Harrowed. It takes one surly cuss to get kicked out of Boot Hill, but somehow you managed. So you may not be able to see it, but it's breaking down our attributes, and then we've got our derived stats, and then we've got our skills. The Hex Slinger, the Huckster. You cast hexes gleaned from codes in Hoyle's Book of Games. It's a tricky business and requires gambling with Manitus for power. But what's life without a little risk? There's our mad scientist and our warrior. to be really honest, I would kind of think the way I would run Deadlands, I would probably not lean too heavily into the like steampunk aspect. There's our territorial ranger and medicine woman. I would probably be steering more towards just kind of a little bit of magic, a lot of horror, things like that. Okay, so as I mentioned, I think these are archetype cards. So we've got our hindrances, our edges, gear, powers. But of course, this isn't set in stone. I mean, player characters can have whatever they want. All right, so we got that. We also have the adventure cards, which I'm going to take a guess that they actually go with the adventure. This is our adventure deck. Mechanical mule. Electrostatic belt. We're not going to look at all these. Epitaph camera. Steam Gatlin. And hell's coming with me. Just lucky, I guess. So there's a few of these. Double dealing. I thought, and I might be wrong, I thought Deadlands utilizes the action deck in more ways. So Flaming Heron says I can literally read what it says on the cards. Cool. Reason why I was curious how well you could see this is just simply because I'm not zoomed in on it. Because I'm not using a zoom lens. I'm using a fixed lens. So if you're watching on a phone, probably a little SOL there, but. All right, so then we've got the power cards. I'll take a guess we got some hexes here. Is that what we're going to see? Maybe some spells for shaman? Let's find out. Object reading. Protection. Barrier. Yeah, these are spells. So we got our power points, our range, and duration. Wilderness walk. Ammo whammy. This power can only be used by a huckster with the hex slinging edge. Arcane runes on the barrel of a hex gun trigger various powers on the bullets inside. While the power is active, the hex slinger can choose one of the effects below to apply to each shot fired from his weapon. Well, I can tell you from what it appears to me. I know there was the question of, I can't remember who in chat had asked this. It might have been, let's see. Oh, there we go. It was Chris Phillips. I almost said it was Dangar the Mighty, but it was Chris Phillips who was kind of curious about this game compared to, say, Weird Frontiers. And to me, this just has a vibe of maybe not being as dark as Weird Frontiers. I have not reviewed Weird Frontiers. If I remember correctly, I think we've got a review from Sammy for Weird Frontiers. All right, so let's put all this stuff back in here. So this box set, once again, contains a few different decks. We've got a bunch of bennies, which, if you're not familiar with bennies, they're along the line of inspiration tokens like you would have in 5e, but you can do a lot more with it. Flaming Heron says, oh yeah, they're watching on big screen TV. So yeah, I would hope you'd be able to read what's on there then. Okay, so we've got these power cards. Actually, I'm probably going to put these on top. We've got this as well. You know what? Real quick, let's just flip through a few pages of the adventure. I wish there was a cover on this. To be honest, I think the PDF does. I think the PDF has that. And if I remember correctly, I think you also get the PDFs for a good amount of this. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so let's just see. Let's just get a little bit of a synopsis here. They say absolute power corrupts absolutely. In the Weird West, things can get even worse. Corruption can lead to damnation as the agents of the Reckoners seek out those willing to do just about anything for supernatural power. The world is a harsh place, and once some folks get a sample of what that power tastes like, they sink to very murky depths to get another mouthful. The town of Sundown is a lot like many others on the frontier. It's a boomtown struggling with growing into an actual part of civilization. Moneyed interests have come into power that want to maintain their hold on the people making the money. Making the money. Trying to see what might be going on here. It's like it looks as if a bad sort comes to town and starts taking over. I just don't want to read all of this to you. Just flip through some pages here, get a feel for it. I'll tell you one thing, the way that this adventure is laid out, just kind of the presentation reminds me a little bit of Paizo's Pathfinder releases. Just a little bit. Just kind of the layout. Well, it looks like we got quite a bit going on here. We have 32 pages. All right. So, we've got all of these goodies here. We've got the, 196 page setting book. We've got the adventure. We've got the Game Master screen. We've got the decks of cards. And that is what we have, along with our map of the territories. Actually, you know what? Will this work? Will this go back in? I think it will not. But I think these cards... Oops, there we go. I thought these cards were kind of like this. So there we go. Nice. I'll kind of keep stuff in place. All right. So once again, this is the boxed set. This carries an MSRP of $99.99. So it looks like, looks as if the banhammer had to come out. I see a message deleted by Flaming Huron. So I did not see what it was. All right, so we got the Weird West Companion. We'll flip through this real quick. And then we're also going to take a look at the Pawns. As I mentioned, supersized show tonight. You need a partner. From the high plains to the canyons of the Great Maze, the Weird West is a mighty dangerous place. Any cowpoke worth his salt knows it's better to have some extra firepower by your side. Same goes for you, Marshall, and you won't do much better than the Weird West Companion. That's right. If I remember correctly, the Game Master is known as the Marshal. Inside these twisted pages, you'll find new harrowed edges, new arcane backgrounds like voodooists and witches, and a whole passel of relics to put your posse through their paces. In addition to these extra options for players, we also include some advice on marshaling your game an overview of the big plot point campaigns that made the Weird West what it is today, information on the hunting grounds and running adventures in it, famous rascals, and a bone-chilling adventure in the Black Hills called The Horse Eater. Flaming Heron says, I was itching to bring out the banhammer. Thank you kindly, Flaming Heron. Never even saw what it was. Never even saw what the comment was, but can I tell you, Skeletor's a bad guy. So round up a couple of brave compadres, Marshall, and get ready to ride out. The Weird West awaits. One thing that I can tell you, I get the impression, reading through the core rule book last night, is I get the feeling that you can easily play Savage Worlds games with the game master and a couple of players. You don't necessarily need to have 4 adventurers or 6 adventurers. Ah, yes. I remember these. Don't remember these. I think this is from like 2nd edition, or maybe it was a 3rd edition, but I certainly do remember that. So we get a brief history of Deadlands. Debuted in '96 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at Gen Con. So here we have new edges. Yes, these are the harrowed edges. Metal Mages. It says Metal Mage is a new edge for mad scientists. It blends the basics of the new science with some of the magic of the hucksters. Anthony Good says, love those old Brahm covers. Just like Dark Sun. A lot of people love those Dark Sun books. Not for the contents, but because of the, well, I should say not because of the gaming content, but because of the Brahm artwork. Denger the Mighty says, I've run Savage World games with as little as 2 players. Counting yourself like a duet, I guess that's what people like to call one-on-one gaming now, duets. So we've got dealing with the devil for Metal Mages. I guess dealing with the devil has to do with the action deck. So now we have U.S. Marshal, not to be confused with the Marshal who's running the game. We got Voodooists. So new edges, new powers. We've got the Witches. Speaking of witches, I know, complete change of pace here, but really surprised in the remastered Pathfinder books, which we will be taking a look at when I get them, at least the 2 cores that are coming out this month. No Paladin. I believe the Paladin has been replaced by the Witch. And I was kind of like, what? I'm like, seriously? We're going to have to wait for the, what is it? The Player Core 2, is it? I think that's what they're calling it. It's going to be like the Advanced Player Guide. I was like, really? That's kind of a bummer. So Flaming Heron says, they get around wearing that in the West? I know what he's talking about. Right there. Well, come on. We got to have that artwork that appeals to the boys out there. Kevin says the champion is in Player Core 2. Yes, I know it's not the Paladin. It's the champion. But you guys and gals know what I mean out there. Right, so it looks like we've got some relics. We got the Holy Grail. So this is the, well, Holy Grail of relics, the cup Jesus Christ himself drank from at the Last Supper. Legend says King Arthur's knights searched for it for years, but history doesn't record whether they found it or not. Come on, everybody knows what happened to that. The Templars had it. Okay, so then we get Running Deadlands, and it looks like they're talking about tone. So we've got spaghetti western, which there is a misconception. We talked about this when I was sharing some Broncolonia coverage. There's a misconception that spaghetti western is kind of oddball sort of movies. They're not. Yes, there are some spaghetti westerns that are kind of comedic, but usually even the comedic spaghetti westerns have some pretty graphic violence. So we've got horror, talking about cultivating fear, blood and gore. Story thus far. So this is discussing, get a timeline. The hunting grounds. What is known as the hunting grounds to Indians is called many things by many cultures, but all agree it's a place beyond what most mortal eyes can see. It's another plane of existence, a strange twilight world, or I should say twilit world, populated by spirits that represent aspects of the physical world. Indians have long looked into this world as a source of inspiration, guidance, and wisdom, examining the purest essence of things to better understand their purpose on Earth. We get some of the spirits. Looks like we've got some new powers. Rules of the hunting ground. Hey, that's one of those rattlers, I think. That's what it looks like. Flaming Heart says, yeah, I watched Indiana Jones. I know what happened to that Holy Grail. You have chosen wisely. Then we have Famous Rascals, Sam Bass. I have yet to check out that new show yet. Although I do actually know a little bit about Sam Bass. Black Kettle. Bull All the Time, Charlie Bull. Seth Bullock. There you go, Deadwood. So are we going to have, is this the television show Seth Bullock or real life Seth Bullock? Because I'm taking a guess. It's going to be more along the lines of television Seth Bullock. There's Calamity Jane. Weird thing is, there's been talk that Calamity Jane was actually a hermaphrodite. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I just think Calamity Jane probably just wasn't an attractive woman at all. Because I have seen photos and I'm like, I don't know. So we got Jesse James and the James Gang. Bloody Bill Quantrill. You know, we got some serious baddies in here. Brigham Young. Is this the adventure? Yes, there we go. The Horse Eater. Oh my gosh. It says this adventure originally appeared in Shaddis 28. Wow. I used to pick up that magazine all the time. Which was, well, here it says it was run by their friends at Alderac Entertainment Group, but I don't think it was AEG. I think it was just John Zinzer with Shaddis or Shadis, however you'd like to pronounce it. That was a good magazine. That was a good gaming magazine. If they gave something a review, you could usually sit there and say, okay, I'm believing what they say. Yes, way back in the day when you had to wait months after something came out that you might be interested in picking up to read a review about it because you had to wait for it in print, if it even got a review. As opposed to nowadays, you get a lot of reviews before things ever even come out. All right, so we've got that adventure. That is the Weird West Companion for Deadlands. And this carries, I want to say, I think it was $29.99. $24.99 is the MSRP on this. And then lastly, we're going to look at the Weird West Pawns box. This carries an MSRP of $29.99. So looks like we're going to have some punch boards with pawns. And it appears we have 85 of them. And it looks like we also have little cardboard standees. Looks like we've got a bunch of horses and stuff. Of course, I have plastic stands, so I would no doubt look to use those with these pawns. And the funny thing is, I have the plastic stands from both the Starfinder and Pathfinder starter sets. That's where I have my stands from. Okay, so as we can see here, this is some of the artwork we've just seen, taking a look at the setting book as well as the companion. So as an example, there's our explorer, there's our gunslinger, there's our master of chi, our huckster. Looks like we've got some Union soldiers there, as well as some Native Americans. It's like bandits, possibly. These are dual-sided. Ooh, front and back. Nice. I like that. Flaming Heron says, yeah, never liked the card standees. No, one of the reasons why is you tend to damage these relatively easily. Gotta say, fairly thick cardstock here. Not the thickest I've seen for pawns, but pretty good. Got some saloon girls, zombies. It's almost like a little goblin sort of guy. Some more creatures. I think these are the little rattlers. Looks like a undead barkeep. It's like, what? Ooh, that's kind of creepy looking. Some like hellfire bowl there. I understand there are a few sets of pawns for Deadlands. That's kind of creepy. These look like some werewolves there. Oh yeah, giant spider. And then that's the big size rattler. Cool. I wanted to see, is it going to show the back of the monster too? Yes, it is. We got a kid with a bucket. And then we have some livestock, as well as some horses. Got a bear up here. A couple of burros. And these don't show the back. That's fine. I mean, yeah. Flaming Heron said size comparison. Wowzers. All right. So we've got, how many punch boards do we have here? 8? Yes, 8. So 85 standees in total. And once again, this Weird West Pawns box carries an MSRP of $29.99. Just double checking. Yes, that is the MSRP. Really cool, really interesting. I will point out, you are probably going to see the reviews for the Savage Worlds releases we're going to be taking a peek at quicker than normal. So there is that. All right, so once again, we have been taking a peek at the Weird West Companion for Deadlands, the boxed set, as well as the Weird West Pawns. And a big thank you to the fine folks over at Pinnacle Entertainment once again for providing me with these review copies. And of course, stay tuned. I will be reviewing these in the very near future. I will tell you what, I doubt if there's going to be like a review video for the Pawns, because they kind of are what they are. But I will be doing a review video for the box set and then a separate video for the Weird West Companion. All righty then, if you're curious what's happening on tomorrow's show, I am going to wrap up our Savage Worlds week with, man, this is a heavy box. I say it every time I pick it up. An unboxing and first look at Ultimate Core for Savage Pathfinder. I think that's what they're calling it. No, it's not necessarily Pathfinder for Savage Worlds. I think they're calling it Savage Pathfinder. And this is packed. This box is packed with goodies. Looks like twice as much as we saw in the Deadlands box set. And then, of course, we will also dip on into the Pathfinder Companion for Savage Worlds. Very nice. Very cool. I am very, very curious about this. The Pathfinder for Savage Worlds, not just this book here, because I'm kind of curious as far as converting from Pathfinder over to Savage Worlds, because I know it's I believe it's the Rise of the Rune Lords is the box set that they've got for Pathfinder for Savage Worlds, or Savage Pathfinder. And I'm wondering if we're looking at a conversion from first edition Pathfinder to Savage Worlds as opposed to second edition Pathfinder. So I'm kind of curious how easy it might be to convert the adventure paths for the current edition of Pathfinder, which of course we know is also getting the remastered treatment later on this month, which there are some changes. They're not huge, massive changes, but still, I'm kind of curious about that, or if Pathfinder or Savage Pathfinder is really designed more for first edition Pathfinder content. Kind of curious. Kevin R. Smith says the official title is Pathfinder for Savage Worlds. Unofficially, everybody calls it Savage Pathfinder, including the people at Pinnacle. That's why I mentioned it, because I could have swore I remember Jody Black referring to it as Savage Pathfinder. Kevin R. Smith says, I shudder to think what the Rise of the Rune Lords box weighs. I believe it's 6 books. I think it's 6 softcover books, just like an adventure path would be for Pathfinder. Kevin says it's 1 eat. You can tell from the sorcerer bloodlines. All right, that's cool. Well, like I said, I'm just kind of curious how difficult it would be to convert over. I mean, are there rules? Is there information about converting over to Savage Worlds, or is it just, well, you're just going to have to wait to pick stuff up that they produce? Kevin King says they believe Curse of the Crimson Throne, the next Savage Pathfinder campaign, is also based on 1E. Yes, because there is no Curse of the Crimson Throne for 2nd edition, nor is there Rise of the Rune Lords as of yet. I could have swore that they were going to do one. That they were going to do Rise of the Rune Lords for 2nd edition, like they did Kingmaker. So we'll find out. Last thing I do want to mention, don't forget on Friday, I will be sharing my review of Planescape Adventures in the Multiverse for Dungeons and Dragons. So I will be announcing the winner of this Friendly Local Game Store alternate art edition for my review video. So you've got until tomorrow night to get into the running. So take a peek at my first look video, which was live here on the Dispatch, to learn how you can get into the running. All right, that's it for this time out. Like I said, supersized show. Supersized show. Tomorrow's going to be a big show too. Probably more supersized than this one. So hopefully you'll join me then. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my review of Vaesen, The Lost Mountain Saga. Yes, the review is up. It is out. Roger Perdome is with us in chat. Thanks for popping in, Roger. I didn't see you. I didn't have an opportunity to say hello. Anyway, by all means, check out my review. It's my favorite adventure release so far for Vaesen, although I have some issues, and I discussed them. Yes. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you won't find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. I will be back tomorrow. And here's hoping all of you out there get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.